The XFL Playoff Reaction Show on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Shady Rays. SGPN is teaming up with Shady Rays for Shady May. Yeah, get 50% off of your Shady Rays using promo code SGPN. And then go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/shady for your chance to win $500. And remember, after all that, to let it ride.
This or is it not the XFL? Yes, it is. Do I not currently have a pulse? Yes, I do. Let's play football.
This is the XFL.
Welcome to the XFL Gambling Podcast Playoff Reaction Show. Oh, we've had just two big-time games going on, two blowouts, really, on Saturday and Sunday in the XFL. First playoff since the year 2000, I think it was, or 2001. Look, you might just be wondering, and, if you're listening to this saying, who is this maniac talking to me? Well, my name is Colby Dant C.J, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I smoke and I drink and I don't have stress and I'm healthy.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, terrorist pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Oh, I went perfect. Perfect. 4 for 4. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. All right? Yes. We have the Extreme Cup, the $1 Million Game. Well, we got next week. They got the week off. And then after that, we're going to see the $1 Million Game in San Antonio. We're here to talk about it all. I am joined by my co-host. He is the host of the Bottom Line Bombs podcast. They called him the man in the box. And, well, he's the
kind of guy that would drink a gallon of gasoline so he could piss in your campfire. You could drop this guy off at the Arctic Circle wearing a pair of bikini underwear without his toothbrush, and tomorrow afternoon he's going to show up at your poolside with $1 million smile and a fistful of pesos.
I give you C.J. Sullivan. How you doing, brother?
Great. Also 4-0 in the selections, and we got an amazing my ride or die future, the DC Defenders, which I picked here day one, show one of this XFL podcast. I went through the rubbish, and they were the last odds or second last odds, and I locked in on DC and the beer snake, and we're going to the championship game where they will.
Yeah,
of course, got upset by Arlington. But we're also 4-0. Amazing 4-0, including that Arlington money line, which was the easiest money we could.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a second here, but we are joined by a third man in the booth, the host of the Old Fashioned Football Podcast and the NFL Gambling Podcast. We like to call him Liquid Lunch. It's almost dinner time here, so maybe it's Liquid Dinner. Give it up for JMark, a.k.a. JMark. How you doing, brother?
It's almost bedtime here, so it's Liquid Nightcap. Per our friends at TallySite, Colby, you missed one.
What did I miss?
5-1. One of the totals. I can't see which one. It just says you missed one of the totals, so you might want to talk to your friends at TallySite if you hit them both.
No, I think on the show I went 4-0. See, my thing is whenever I see the lines on TallySite, I'm bang, bang, bang doing it. I actually
you do pick a million things, I feel like, so I understand.
True.
Well, no, like the week before, I definitely want to apologize to the guest out there if you followed.
Did you go over on a DC game too? Because your weather reports was disaster coming from both games. Hurricanes left and right. Matter of fact, we had Houston coach tweeting at us from the game saying it looks clear as the sky can be. Didn't help Houston at all, but the skies were clear down there.
I went over in the DC game, under in the Houston game. Those
right.
that hit, right?
Ship it.
Yeah.
That's what hit. That's what hit for sure.
So look, TallySite. Sometimes when I look, it is before I either did the show or after. But a week ago, I actually had the wrong team that I gave away on the show. My apologies if you're hopping over to Tally Site.
Tally Sites is right when I'm accurate on there. It's wrong.
Very true. Very true.
If I'm
Well,
just hammering
especially
through.
with these spring games, like I feel like was it 2 weeks ago, the XFL lines on, so I went to submit them on Tally Site right before the game started, right? Like 10 minutes before,
Yeah.
maybe 3 weeks ago. Some of the lines had moved like 4.5 points, so it's completely different than So it's like, who would I take at 3 points? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To 7.5.
That DC game went off at 2 today, and I actually hammered it more. I'm like, that's just great. And like I said before, I mean, it's just great value. I don't care if it's three times. It's just DC at home -2. That was amazing.
So I have futures. I know I have futures on 5 out of the 8 teams in the league at one point, but preseason I had Seattle and DC with you, CJ. I think we both took them, right?
Yeah.
And after week 2, I think I took Arlington. Maybe week 3. I'd have to go back and check. And then after week 5, I think I got into the Orlando Guardians. And then after week 7, I think I got into San Antonio.
We got a Brahma share.
Yeah, I should have just ignored the.
I tell you what, we're not the only ones who like the Brahmas. Seattle Seahawks are working out Jack Cohn. Jack Cohn gets an open invitation.
Happening there?
I mean,
what is Uncle Pete Carroll? I have no idea. I saw that and I go, no,
unbelievable.
no. What have you seen on tape?
Cohn had a couple good last good games. But no, I mean, I get you.
Momentum.
Get Normandy in there for, if anything, for crying out loud.
Pete was like, "There's a guy that can check down.
Yeah.
We need him."
We got, look what I did with Geno Smith.
Yeah,
right?
maybe he just didn't have the patience to wait 2 weeks till after Perez is available. So we just got to get that code workout immediately.
Oh man! So here we are. Let's talk about these games. The first game was Saturday.
Yeah.
The Arlington Ready. Actually, let me get us paid first, folks. I want to tell you that the XFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Shady Rays and Shady May. I know that might sound like a girl you knew back in high school. But no, we're talking about Shady Rays and Shady May. Look, Shady Rays is teaming up with SGPN for Shady May. Not only do you get an amazing 50% off, but you also get a chance to win $500 cold hard cash. All right. Shady Rays has you covered from the sun to the slopes with premium polarized shades, customizable snow goggles, and much, much more. Shady Rays also have durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. And that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of Iowa. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. So if you were at the lemon party at Aldi Field today and you left your sunglasses, don't freak out. All right. If you lose or break a pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. You're not going to say, well, where'd you go? No, none of that. You can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. Go to shadyrays.com. Use the promo code SGPN for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Then take your receipt to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/shady for your chance to win $500 in the Shady May contest. All right, we are back on the XFL Gambling Podcast, and game 1 was, well, easy. We didn't sweat 1 second in this game. All right. Like the first drive of the game. I mean, and so Arlington was at Houston. If you missed it on Saturday, and just like we suspected, Houston was ass. Arlington decided to play better, and they had gotten all these parts over the past 5 weeks that I think really had excelled them to play a lot better. I know that the game prior, they did not look great, but they didn't have anything to play for.
Right.
So
everyone counted them out. Dundee.
Yeah.
No, everyone disrespected the 4-6 Arlington Renegades.
Everyone being Vegas, because Vegas is looking at their records all year, probably has no idea they got Luis Perez, the best quarterback in the league, they're
just gifted. Yeah, gifted a quarterback.
Let's talk about that for a second, guys, because as much as Arlington looks good, and I have a future, and I actually probably think Arlington will actually probably win the Freedom, or not the Freedom Cup, the Extreme Cup, the $1 Million game. I I mean, I don't want to tip my hand yet. I got to see what that line is, but I feel like Arlington looked pretty money. They never at all trailed in this game, if memory serves me correct. They just dominated the whole game. And, I mean, this was so easy to spot. We felt like this, and we got a 1-star review. Shout out to our 1-star reviews, all right? Because we were claiming that the league might be rigged because the second best quarterback in the league was traded for a guy that I don't even know if he exists as a human. Right. You know what I mean? Like, have we checked the tape on that?
Just a made-up video game guy, right?
Reserve linebacker, never played a down in the season.
He's one of the programmers of the video game that we made up characters or whatever. You know what I mean? Like those guys, like an NBA Jam, when they put like two nerds in there, they'd be dunking on Dominique and shit. So, look, I was perplexed, week by week as this went on. The Luis Perez, the Vic Bolden signing, the Kelly Brown signing. I didn't understand how they were going to getting all these guys. They got them though, and they look good, and they're on their way to San Antonio, to the Alamo Dome to win the championship. CJ, what'd you make of the game, and what do you make of this? Our conspiracy perhaps paying off. Right. I'm glad you brought up that reviewer, and I'd like to challenge him. If he can defend at all, because he said that we talked about conspiracy theories like out of a whim with no facts or like. First of all, that's how conspiracy theories work. But anyway, but if you can explain anything, justify anything about this Perez trade, then I'll listen to you. That we're just making shit up. Well, but like they were, absolutely gifted because they know they're going to the playoffs and they got him a quarterback, and they're a completely different team. Duh. Without it, no shit. The first two matchups versus Houston had nothing to do with this because they didn't have a comparable quarterback that could throw a fucking forward pass.
For me to buy into a conspiracy theory, I have to see the financial reward at the end.
Right.
Oh, this one's fucking obvious. The league's like, wait, the South is going to put these two teams or maybe San Antonio in the playoffs to take on either Seattle, St. Louis, or DC. This is not going to be good for TV. Oh, let's move these pieces here. If I can move, since we own every team, let's move this piece here and this piece here.
Yeah.
And so to me, in that I can see the financial reward. They're a lot more competitive. They look like a good football team now.
And I wouldn't be surprised in 2 weeks when they play the Super Bowl if this Arlington team is a hodgepodge of Houston Renegades. They just pluck from their lineup and just throw Arlington jerseys.
Available.
Yeah. Who's going to recognize Max Borgia? They can't because he'll stand out a bit. If you know what I mean. But other guys, they can just throw fucking jerseys on there. They won't know. They won't know the difference. So stay in the same hotel. I do like that. That's a pretty good flex that Arlington got after they win. They literally got to kick Houston out of their hotel.
That is
early checkout
out of here, right?
Right.
JMark, what'd you make of the game? And are we nutcases to be talking conspiracy still as we lead up to the $1 million game?
As far as the game goes, we said it before. Why was Houston favored by 6.5?
Yeah. Went off at 7 too.
Why? Like Arlington was clearly the better team, and
that was the only disrespect they got, right?
Yeah. It was amazing because like the Houston line, like obviously it was padded from early in the season when they were blowing teams out, and then it came down. Obviously, reality hit, and then last week the meaningless game, Houston won again. Like they went right back to people like respecting Houston again, like they were week 2 or week 1 Houston.
Who was our play-by-play guy again? The guy who went to Arizona State. I forget his name. He does college football, but he's on the show and he's like, that's the only time ever in a first half all year that they've scored 2 offensive touchdowns. And I'm like, well, they've only had Luis Perez for like 3 weeks.
Right.
The week didn't matter. Right.
Yeah.
But
his first half was amazing though. He was trying to break record. That was almost hilarious. Just DFS break.
Almost made me a Luis Perez fan. That's how good it was.
He did flatten out in the second half.
Yeah. And then as far as that trade goes and talking about the conspiracy, now look, before the trade happened, Ryan Mueller, who was the linebacker, he had 2 tackles on special teams. He's had 0 since being traded. So
I still want to see film of those tackles. That could have been made up. Being like, hey, if we give him a special teams tackle or 2,
right.
No one's going to know who he is, but the stats will be there.
Yeah. It is crazy how that trade was crazy. Obviously, Vic Bolden, all of a sudden, even though he's been injured, lands on the team. They've put all the pieces together just out of nowhere. Yeah. And it's hard not to scratch your head at it, especially starting with the trade and go, what, how?
Yeah.
But-
And look, I'll challenge any of those people that love. Look, we love the league. We want the league to work, but at the same time, it's like, come on, we're gonna call a spade a spade. That shit made no sense. That'd be like the equivalent of like Kevin Durant getting traded for like, I don't know, like the 12th guy on the Cleveland Cavs or something. You know what I mean? And then just the league being like, oh yeah, keep going, yeah.
I will say this with the game. First of all, Houston, you of course started the entire parade of shitting on Houston and calling them the frauds that they were since week 3 when they were 4-0.
I'm normally ahead of the curve, guys. I'm normally ahead of the curve.
I will. You definitely were on this one, and you took on all the Redditors and Facebook commenters about it. I will say though, out of all those Texas teams, Houston definitely had the best fan support and the best and they did rally around them. So not that I felt bad for fans, but they put up a good effort. The team showed them, some respect. As far as their play went, I think they went to Cole McDonald a little too early. I kind of wanted to see Silvers throw more, but then Cole.
It's classic Phillips.
They just change. It changes the entire offense when they're around there, and it's like no one knows what's going on when they're switching those two guys around like that.
Classic Wade Phillips, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've seen him with Rob Johnson or Doug Flutie, with Tommy Maddox or John Elway. He's always doing this thing. Silver's only threw for 22 yards. Once again, I mean, they didn't commit to the run much. Borgie was averaging just a shade under 78. That's scary.
No, and he heard with another thing with the DFS. If we're going to do improvements on the XFL here, since we're on the subject, I love, as much as I love getting JMark's slack injury updates 5 minutes before kickoff. And I got to rush to see if I could change my lineup. What are they do? Why is everything a cloak and dagger news injury report? It's only a goddamn playoff game. We're getting Browns out right before kickoff, and we haven't plugged in. Now he's stuck in there. There's no news of him all week of being hurt, and then they fucking pulled him out.
Yeah,
and I'm glad I had a piece of. I'm also glad I had a piece of Sal Canelo, who apparently was the only one who didn't score, get any yardage on Perez's career game. He was a decoy in this goddamn thing. I mean, what's going on out there?
Oh man! I hope you listened to my DFS lineup because I did hit for a cold hard $5. All right.
Yes.
Appreciate you guys out there.
Bit.
All right. Let's hop on over to the other game. I mean, anything else?
You weren't locked in with L. Brown. You got him out of there.
I didn't have him. I didn't want any part of that renegade offense. I had all my guys, but I had Philip Lindsay, who ran for a nice -3.
That was perplexing as well.
But that's amazing that I even I had a winning lineup with a guy like that.
By the way, real quick before we switch over, did you see? I like when you're talking about Wade Phillips because I would love Wade Phillips. We love Parade Phillips, and I love Stoops when they were mic'd up for the handshakes. First of all, you had Stoops shaking hands with his coaches and celebrating, going, "Never underestimate the heart of a champion." First of all, what champion are you talking about? Stoops?
Yeah,
but anyway, but he's saying that, and then as soon as Wade comes up to him, he's like, "I don't know how the hell we did this, Wade. I mean, we just pulled this out of nowhere. I don't know.
You were the better boys all year."
Right. Right after saying, "Never underestimate the heart of a champion." Fuck them. I knew we do. I don't know how. Wade. I don't know what the hell's going on out here.
See you at the bar, though. All right, yeah, you're buying, right? I mean, is there anything else in this game we want to tackle? That was the one takeaway. I kind of thought both these games were going to be close games.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought Arlington was going to win on the money line, but I thought it'd be a one-score game. Sure. These are two ass whoopings. And I thought, I took DC, but I thought that would kind of be a close game. They'd pull away late, but yeah, I mean, JMark, anything you want to touch base with Arlington, Houston before I move on to the game that occurred today?
Shout out to Coach Kovo. He's excited for next year.
Yes, Coach Kovo, absolute shout out. That's what I was talking about, the Houston fan support.
Yep.
I will say there was a Dino Blandino moment where he announced that they go, "Dino, if they challenge us, what would happen here?" He's like, "Oh yeah, that would definitely be a 15-yard penalty if they challenge it." With plenty of time to challenge. And then Galloway's like, why doesn't someone text Philip?
Yeah. Challenge.
Yeah, text him right now. Tell him he's a challenge. Phillips doesn't have a cell phone.
No, Phillips is old school. Yeah. If he does, he keeps it. He's like my mom. My mom will have the cell phone, but keeps it off. It's
Right.
like only if it's, if I get the car. Then she
'cause if
realized
you
she hadn't charged it in 6 months, right? And so, well, you hadn't been using it. Why is the charge not there, right?
Well, she's right. If you have it on, then it's going to run out of battery. You keep it off. That's why that's how it stays charged. Shout out to Mama Dundee there.
Yes, Mama
smart
Dundee.
cell
She's
phone.
fantastic. Not with their cell phones, but a lot of other stuff she is. Guys, let's talk about the next game. Sunday, Seattle and at Seattle at DC is I think me and JMark were pressing the same button at the same time as far as
my bad.
the graphic. No, you're good, buddy. This game kind of went a little shocked. I thought DC was the flat out better team. I mentioned this last week when it was in Seattle. I thought that score was misleading. DC owned the line of scrimmage. De'Aaron King fumbled a ball that got returned back. They also had a kind of a wild interception situation.
Yeah.
And Teamo got injured. I still thought this would be more of a game because DC whooped their ass, putting the kibosh on June Jones's offense. I know that this final stats will say Danuch, no, and shout out to XFL Jim who goes, the problem was Danuch didn't throw interceptions or fumbles. You got to have some of those for Seattle.
You got to have the full Danuch.
Yeah.
Although in Danuch's defense, he tried on that touchdown. He tried to make that interception and went through two DC defenders' hands, popped up, and then it had to be a touchdown. And then Danuch is like, it's a Danuch. I tried to give it to everybody there.
But how about the committing to running the ball? Seattle running backs had 2 rushes for -3 yards. Shout out to June Jones in that capacity. Yeah, I mean, they got their ass kicked. And Greg Williams, I was on Hoops Peterson earlier in the week, and people were kind of bombing on Greg Williams' defense. And I was like, dude, that's a bunch of bullshit. You can look at the final yardage all you want. The team stays aggressive. I actually think it's one of the harder defenses to comprehend from an opposing quarterback because they're always blitzing. Now, yes, do they give up large chunks of yardage at times? Sure. But you normally have to play a very tough game mentally against Greg Williams. And I know that Danuch didn't turn the ball over, but man, what was this? I feel like I read the yardage like midway fourth quarter, or maybe 12 minutes left for fourth quarter. They'd only had like 30 yards of offense in the second half.
Yeah, the second half was a bloodbath. I believe what Greg Williams did was brought hell today. Colby D, as he said, announcer before the game. He goes, "Are you going to bring hell?" He goes, "Oh, I'm going to bring hell. Hell will be brought." He kept trying to get that quote in there, like to make it sound right. Hell will be brought. If there is hell to be delivered,
hell coming with me, like in Tombstone, but he just
he was trying. He tried every format there was. Like, if hell will be delivered, I will be the parcel. Hell hath no fury. Like a Danucci scored. I don't know what he was saying, but he did bring a lot of pressure. That second half was just absolute. Just a massacre.
My guy Ethan Wolf, DFS play, 1 catch, 26 yards, touchdown. All right,
touchdown
that's all he does, baby.
Touchdown for the POS.
It's interesting. You look at the numbers here, and you're like, well, Abram Smith only ran for 48, and he had 23 carries. How the hell did this team win? Well, they won because Jordan Teamo. It is interesting. He threw 2 picks. Like if you were just blindly looking at this stuff, this is how you win.
Ones too.
This is how you win an XFL game. You go, well, which team committed the turnovers? DC, right? Which team basically got dominated from a yardage standpoint? Which I'm double checking that to make sure that's accurate. No, they didn't. Actually, DC won that. This defeats my purpose.
Yeah, DC had some pretty big chunk plays for sure, and but yeah, Tabo had some bad. He had some Danucci type interceptions in the end zone, trying to force it. And then, he also got hurt towards the end of the game, which luckily there's a media bye week before the big XFL Championship game.
It was 30. It was 30-9 at one point in this game. 30-9. That was an ass kicking. I mean, how many times besides the St. Louis Battlehawks and what the Orlando Guardians, I can't think of any other game that got to a 3-touchdown lead, and this game did. So,
Dundee, I was telling me and JMark were talking beforehand. I mean, Lewis Greg Williams brought hell pressure all the time, 5-to-1 ratio, as he was saying. Were you shocked how June Jones and that offense couldn't really adapt to it? And it was all 5-yard passes by Danucci and like just getting it out of his hands quickly, and nothing doing. I don't know if it was the weather, but there was a lot of drops in Danucci's defense. But like they just didn't know what they weren't throwing. They didn't have throw downfield at all until towards the end when the game was already over with.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know. Like, I thought June Jones would commit to the run more. Philip Lindsay, awful. But this is hurting Philip Lindsay's career. He should have just stayed at home. I'm serious. Like, he should have stayed at home or gone to the USFL where they can actually run the ball.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to get a sweat before he goes to the Broncos. Someone said he already has a Broncos invitation or something.
Yeah, I heard that.
Interesting. Well, look, before we talk a little bit more about this game, I want to tell you that the XFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Best Ball Mania is here, and Underdog Fantasy is giving away $15 million in prizes, plus plenty of ways to win with the NHL, MLB, and NBA with their player prop parlays, which are absolutely fantastic. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use that promo code SGPN for 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Once again, that's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by the Kentucky Derby. Yes, it's Kentucky Derby week. So you're going to, come on. How great is this week? You got the Notorious OTB podcast, which our guy Chase Sessoms hosts. So go listen to that thing because, always fun. And look, who doesn't love a mint julep and catching the ponies, dialing back? You want to talk about America's past? This is really America's pastime, right? Watching some horse racing. This shit used to be huge back in the day.
I love it. Boxing and horse racing.
Boxing and horse racing, man. So look, get over there. Check out the Notorious OTB podcast. Love the name on that podcast too, and the artwork as well. For all your Triple Crown bets, plus leave a review for the show wherever you get your podcast between now and Belmont Saturday, June 10th, and you'll be entered to win a drawing in a canvas print of the wolves of one of a fallen Bob painting. Why do I not know what the fuck this is? It's post time though. I'm assuming this is a horse, right?
Oh,
I just don't know.
It is.
Okay, it's like Lucky Lindy. So check out the wolf is Chase Sessom. So you got to check this out. This Fallen Bob painting's fantastic. And look, and art always helps your chances of getting laid. All right. If you have art up on your wall, I guarantee you your chances go up about 12% of because all of a sudden you look sophisticated. All right.
Art's a good wingman.
Yeah, it's great wingman. Doesn't talk, doesn't watch anything. You can even lie and say, because, oh, yeah, I did that. I did a painting of Fallen Bob. You know what I mean? Like, it makes it look more sophisticated, more classy. You can do all that good stuff. So check out, obviously the Sports Gambling Podcast Network and the Notorious OTB podcast. So do that. And remember, as always, to let it ride. All right, guys. So, I mean, I kind of was not shocked. I believe I called it just like the 91 Falcons when they came to DC and it was a little too wet for them. You know, their speed doesn't go on that tall grass. And, I just feel like look, I love June Jones is a friend of the program, but I don't really buy into all that shit at the end of the day. Like, yeah, I think you can have playoff teams and the way that football is changing. I think it's possible to win championships with run and shoot and air raid philosophy. I do. I believe that it's possible. However, I think it's still unlikely. The line of scrimmage, I think you got to control the clock some, and you got to be able to run the ball and establish, yourself besides just counting on dropping back 85 times a game. I know I'm old school, but what do you guys think of that?
I think how quickly you've tossed away your Seattle Sea Dragons and June Jones. It just missed them. Like, I told him it would never work, even when I was buying futures on him. I told my good friend June Jones, this fucking chuck and duck offense is never going to work when the lemons come raining down upon you in DC.
Well, look, it might work if you get if they would have got to the $1 million game and you're in that dome, it probably would have worked. But you got to go to the elements. You got to go to the lemon party, the snake pits.
It was a bad environment for sure. And shout out to Audi Field and Buzzard Point. That place was lit, as you guys say here on the college experience a lot of times.
Yes.
That was a great environment. That St. Louis, obviously number one with the crowd, with the 40 people.
With their sellout crowd, with half the crowd is not there. USFL.
But a tight number 2 is definitely DC. It is packed there, even though it's 15, 20,000. And they're fucking nuts. The beer snake shit. I mean, it is an absolute party. They deserve everything about this.
And look,
they got to them. They unraveled, I think, too. Seattle, the 8 penalties for first downs of between 13. How about that double 15-yarder? You got a 15-yarder for late hit and the 15 for kicking the flag. All right, kicking the flag is an extra 15. Like, it's the most effeminate thing too. Like kicking a little beanbag flag at 15.
Yeah. I mean, they were rattled though. They pissed them off because they were
did.
imploding. They were certainly imploding. And look, I think St. Louis should try to find one of these MLS fields because I think that's the way to do it because it still looks way better than when you see a St. Louis game, in my opinion. Guys, I know we have to preview Arlington, DC, but I think that's going to be next week. But just right now,
yeah, we got time.
Gun to your head. The Renegades are catching 6. I don't see a money line available at the moment, but the total is at 46.5. I'll have you know, unless something changes, which who knows that we'll even get the news. I think the Renegades are the play, right? JMark?
Yeah, I agree. I got to back up, though, because you didn't ask me what I thought about the Sea Dragons Defenders game. So I'm backing us up real quick here.
Back it up, JMark. Back it up, back it up, back it up, back it up, back it up.
Two things happened that I feel like swung the game. First, June Jones got knocked down. Maybe that rattled him a little too much.
He's like 80, man. That's tough.
Yeah, I know. It was interesting. Before you hopped on, I was talking to CJ. I said, Seattle surprised me how they came out and they could move the ball really well. And then they showed a clip of Greg Williams saying, "All right, I'm getting pissed off." And the announcers are like, "Oh, they're going to start bringing the blitz. He's pissed now." And it was literally all downhill from there.
Yeah.
They could not adjust at all to that blitz. Danucci couldn't do anything. They went 3 and out as soon as Greg Williams said that. And they just couldn't do anything. It was incredible how he just said to the guys, "I'm getting pissed." And that was it. And then it was over, basically. That was the end for the Seattle Sea Dragons.
He's the best defense coordinator in this league, too. So, I mean, I think, look, I don't give a shit about all the numbers. They're the hardest. They're the hardest team to understand.
I just love how all year the rating system, the Dundee rating system, was only on numbers of yards, and now that shit, throw it out of here. Let's play for
throw it out of here. Throw it out of here. But no, but he has been. Look at that. How many pick sixes? I would be curious to know how many pick sixes they have.
Right? No, I agree. Yeah. Also, shout out back-to-back weeks of Puka Williams sightings, returning kickoffs. The lawnmower man.
Yeah.
I mean, he had great returns today. A couple returns last week. They did cut Armstead. Is that a thing?
Yeah, he was cut. They got him out.
I think it had to been to make room for Puka, I guess. But the 8-toed lawnmower man looking good. He might be. I would love to get a first touchdown prop on him in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah,
they cut Puka, and then
I know. Then he went to.
I think he went to. Go ahead.
I think he went to St. Louis, didn't he?
Yeah, I believe so. And then they cut him, and then all of a sudden, he's back in DC.
That's what I love. This is the story I want. I don't want to hear Perez learning how to play on YouTube. I want to see the lawnmower man cut and mulched and weed whacked all the way back to DC. And now he's in the championship game. He's gonna return the opening kickoff for a touchdown. I'm calling it.
Oh, I love it.
I got to root for Perez or Tamu. You realize how difficult this is for me.
You made your bed week 1 with this one. This was bound to happen.
I'm rooting for Brian Scott. Damn it, I don't care.
I know we still have to do the show, but are you guys all leaning Renegades with me, or what are you doing? What are you guys?
I am not. I'm leaning DC. DC's been my team all year since episode 1. I think 6 is an easily coverable number. I mean, in a dome and in a soft environment. I mean, DC, if the offense just rolls.
Yeah,
I think that. I mean, see. Let's not upgrade. Let's not uptick Arlington too much because Perez had a good first half against Houston. Good for him. But I mean, we all knew coming into this that the winner of the DC Seattle game was going to be champion. At least that's what we went to it. Like, let's not get too caught up in that. And that's just, I mean, anything 6 or under, I'm not playing Arlington. No way.
What's the logic on a 12-day break? They don't want to go up against the Derby.
They had to get their deposit back. I mean, rental out, like, who knows? Like, you know, I mean, like, was there a circus and maybe the rodeos in town in San Antonio? Is that it?
I mean, JMark, what do you think totals wise? 46.5. Looking, I know we're gonna dive into this in a week, and you know, but still, just right now, these numbers could all change. 46.5 right now. I'm on board with the over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is the last game of the year. They got to leave it all out on the table, so I like the over as well. I would wait on the 6 because I think it's going to creep up in DC's favor. I think you're going to see 7.5. So I would wait on that because I think I'm liking this Arlington team too. They have 12 weeks to prepare for this defense and this blitz. I think that's going to be the key.
12 days. 12 days.
12 days. Sorry. Yeah, they have 12 days to prepare for this. So, you know, I think that should be enough time. I mean, Stoops isn't a bad coach, you know, so I think they could get this in line and be competitive against DC.
I agree. If you do like Arlington, definitely wait because I don't think any early money, whatever, is coming in on Arlington at all.
Right.
I think it'll definitely go up to 7, and definitely with the over, especially with the rule. It's weird how people really aren't taking advantage of the rules even today. Although Hazlitt, I think, is just perpetually confused on the sideline. He had no idea what is going on. But like not doing an onside kick when they scored a touchdown, but onside kick, I mean the 4th and 15, you know, like with that, punting the ball with like 8 minutes to go, down 30-9. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah. I was a bit confused. It was a little Terrell Buckley going on.
Little Buck going on, but the onside thing is set up for this, and then they don't do it. Like I didn't get it.
I agree. Well, shit. I mean, we got one game of the crossroads of success, where success meets crossroads.
Bittersweet.
Going on, May 13th, Saturday, 5:00 at the Alamo Dome. Unfortunately, in one of those filthy domes. I love that weather in that DC game, man. That field was looking beautiful. It was looking that's the way football should look.
That was a fun game, and the fans were partying. It was fun.
Beer steak was rocking. Everything was good about it. How about that? Undefeated season at home at Aldi.
Their only blemish was a Stormity Dormity.
I wonder if they played an NFL team there because they beat them. Huh?
I mean,
fucking Aldi's legit, you know.
Certainly could beat the Commanders, I'm sure.
Let me say it for Dundee because he says it so much on Twitter. The who? Who are the Commanders?
I know. I was opening it up for him there.
Criminal shit going on in this world. Everyone's just a corporate sellout. Go Redskins. All right. Redskins are winning the XFL Championship. All right. Yes. Just like they did in 91, baby. Bring back the Ripper. Mark Rippon. Folks.
Love Ripper.
I don't know what else to talk about. You guys want to talk about the...
Well, I like that 91 Redskins Atlanta reference you pulled out when that's when Dion came out dancing, right? And the whole thing, and Charles Dimry, and then they fucking got smashed in Washington. And then we'll talk about you. You're going to be our international media man for the Super Bowl here for the XFL Championship game.
Well, look, a lot of things in the XFL didn't make sense this year, and I said, what if I go to South America to watch the XFL and push I'm going to be out there on the front line saying, guys, I'm going to go to their sports bars and say, can we put on the $1 million game? All right.
Take the temperature out there. See what the buzz is out there. I'm sure there's a lot of talk about Jordan Ta'amu down there in South America. Luis Perez, and maybe you want to educate them on that. I'm sure they'd love to hear about it.
Definitely. Look, I have the latest odds. Let's get out of here with this. I want everyone to go subscribe to the notorious OTB podcast. Oh, actually, no, these are not the latest odds. This is last year. All right, I don't know. Go listen to that podcast because I can't find shit right now on the fly trying to get us to handicap the Kentucky Derby. Folks, we appreciate you rocking all year, and don't just leave because we are coming back in about 7 or 8 days. We'll be back talking the Extreme $1 million game, and we'll have you covered from the spread to the money line to everything. All right. So make sure you subscribe to the XFL Gambling Podcast and check out. I know we got a little week off here, but that's a perfect time to check out the Bottom Line Bombs podcast, which CJ Sullivan hosts, and also the Old Fashioned Football podcast, which Justin Mark hosts, and the NFL Gambling Podcast. We just had a huge draft. All right, they're going to be breaking it all down over there, so check out those episodes. I also host the College Football Experience. We got a bunch of shows. We're talking the transfer portal is batshit crazy. It's like the 4:05 on a Friday. All right, there's a million people every day. I just sign in, so we're covering it all over there. Subscribe to the College Football Experience. I also host the USFL Gambling Podcast, so we will have episodes this week talking about the United States Football League. But we appreciate you rocking all year long with us, and we're excited for the championship game. Until next week, get the SGPN app in the App Store and Google Play Store, and listen to that Kentucky Derby episode. I'm sorry I don't have the odds. I was trying on the fly to pull it up. Didn't work. But anyway, until next week, this is the XFL Gambling Podcast. You better start thinking about yours, and we out of here.
X marks the spot. X marks the crossroads. Two straight lines crossing over in the middle. That's the letter you must see to find the treasure or the clue or the X-ray machine that's looking right inside of you. X is the letter.